And I think what's useful maybe to start off with is to think about what are the crafts courses. So as Victoria says, there's 4 of them. There is costume construction, prop making, scenic painting for stage and screen, set construction for stage and screen. And the important thing about all those courses are you choose which one of those you would like to do. You study it for 3 years, and in those 3 years, it is all about making. So it isn't about design, it's about working with designers to realise their ideas and their concepts. So if maybe at the moment you might be doing something where you do both the design and the making, that's not what would happen on the course here. And one of the reasons we do that is because that's what happens in theatre, it's what happens in stage and screen, and we're preparing people ready for the industry. So it's really important that we do that. However, I would say that in all of us, there is a bit of design creativity there. And so although the designer comes up with that initial idea, those initial concepts, actually we use our design skills and our making skills to help to make that happen. And quite often our ideas are what drive the project forward. So really, really important. I think that collaboration is really good. And that's another thing that we talk about all the time here at Central on the BA Theatre Practice course. And I'm sure other people have already spoken to you about that. So these 4 making groups actually work together quite a lot. So you work together on shows, on projects that are happening here in the school. So, you know, we would be the making team. I'm just going to do a little overview of the 3 years of the course, and then a little bit more information, and then there'll be an opportunity for everybody to ask me questions. But as Victoria said, you know, you can always put questions in the chat, and we probably will wait till the end to answer them. But if I think it's really pertinent, I will answer it as it's there. So yeah, we're really happy to answer any questions that you have. So year 1, students come to us from all different backgrounds, all different areas of experience, and actually have all different goals of what they want to do throughout the course and at the other end of the course. And that's actually really important to us. There is no cardboard cutout of a BA Theatre Practice Crafts student or graduate. Everybody leaves here the practitioner they want to be, not the practitioners that the tutors want them to be. In that first year, the projects and all the skills that we offer are very prescribed, because we're setting everybody up to be ready to have a toolkit, if you like, of skills that they can use, ideas they can use, to be able to continue on in the 2nd and 3rd year. So that first year is quite controlled. However, we do some really exciting projects within that year, and they're what we would call mostly BA Theatre Practice projects, rather than huge collaborations with other people, although that does happen in the summer. So we do a project called the Tableau Project. This is a project where everybody works in the discipline that they've chosen to come and study, and it happens in the 2nd term of the course. So in that 1st term, you've been offered lots of skills, not only in your chosen subject, but how to work with other people, how to work in teams, how to research, how to present the work that you want to do. And then we go into this very performative, well-made outcome. And it's quite famous within the school. Lots of people come and see this project, the outcome. Everybody enjoys it. Certainly all 3 years of BA Theatre Practice come to see it, and all the tutors as well. But other people from other departments come too. There are also opportunities to do some more personal projects, and as well as working on any productions that might be happening in the school. So in the summer term, we put together making teams that will work on shows that will perform here in one of our many performance spaces at the college. Working together alongside stage managers, lighting designers, production, lighting, sound students, as well as people from the performance courses and the applied theatre courses here. So I'm hoping you're getting a picture already that actually Central is quite small, but also is a real community. So everybody gets to know everybody else, not just down in the bar, but actually working on projects together. And that's really important. That's something that we really celebrate here, how we can all work together. Also working with other year groups as well. So not all the projects that you do will just be first year students. You'll be working alongside second year students and maybe third year students who will be managing your team. So lots and lots of different ways that you're going to be networking and working with other people. And I always say that the best network you're going to be in is, if you come to us, is being here at Central, working with all different types of people, and you will continue to do that after graduation. And we know that's true. Lots of our students and graduates tell us that. In year 2, we continue to develop and refine those skills. This is to help the students get confident, to feel able to perhaps take on a work placement or a work experience, or maybe a more managerial role, to really think about the pathway, the trajectory that they want to make through the course to become that kind of maker that they want to be. So if you're a costume maker, do you eventually want to be a tutu maker? Or are you interested in maybe doing dyeing and painting? Or are you really, really interested in period costume? Or actually, do you want to do one of the management costume roles, such as costume supervision or dressing, etc., maintenance? So similarly, in prop making, there's so many different facets to prop making. You know, you might be somebody who's very good at sculpting and go down that route. You might be somebody who's very good at welding and go down that route. Or you might use one of the many different new materials that are coming into the industry and working in that way. You will notice that both scenic painting and scenic construction have stage and screen after their titles. And I have to say this is true of all the 4 making courses here at BATP. So everybody has an opportunity to trial working for live performance, but actually we might do some projects along the way that might be on a film or for TV. And a lot of our graduates, that's where they go at the end of the course. They go into this area of practice. Others don't. Others come loving live performance, stay loving live performance, and go out and do that at the other end. The third year is very, very much driven by the students. They're choosing the projects that they want to be doing, really, really working with people in the industry to get some experience, as well as doing high-level projects here. We have an annual third year end of course exhibition, and that features all the making courses really, really heavily. And we get fantastic feedback every year. People say to us, you know, it's amazing. I felt I was at the V&A. I thought, or maybe I was at the Harry Potter experience. The level of work is absolutely superb. And all the tutors are really, really proud of that. We really feel that we can say that our students will graduate and they'll go and work in really exciting jobs at high level positions. We know that happens every year. The other thing that happens in the third year is that you prepare a career plan, which has to be at least 5 years, and it's supported by a research paper. And that research is informed by going and doing lots of different work experience, talking to people in the industry, as well as we have lots of industry panels that come in. The students create their professional portfolio and CV, and all have a web presence. And actually, mostly now, those professional portfolios are online. As you know, I'm sure you know already, that's what's happening, that everybody's putting their work online. And we use Instagram and other social media platforms to promote the students' work. So it's really important that we're all engaging with that. So we feel that, you know, by the end of your third year, you really are prepared and ready to go and work in the industry. Lots of our graduates come back. They come back just socially, but they also come back to work with us as well. And we're always really happy to have people back in. If you look on the website, you'll see that there's a number of high profile destinations that the students go to. So we have people who work for the National Theatre in any of the making departments, Scottish Opera, the Globe. People work at Glyndebourne on the opera. We have people who work for Apple in the film department, Amazon streaming film department, Disney. We have people who go on to do Disney cruises, and we have other people who choose to do completely different things. So we have some costume students who might go and work in tailoring, but fashion tailoring, or go and work with a fashion designer. And we have other people who might go into working, they've trained as scenic artists, but they go and do much more community work, doing lots of mural painting, etc. We have people from scenic construction who work on events, go and work in museums, installing exhibitions, and then prop makers who go far and wide, making all different props in all different areas, sometimes on the political scene, sometimes for live theatre, and again for museum work, etc., and events, etc. So really, really diverse end of course destinations, and we love that. That's what we like here. Just a little bit more about the tutors. So in costume construction, there's 2 costume tutors. There's myself and Lucy Shilton. For prop making, there is Dot Young and Oliver Hipwell. For scenic art, there is Carla Mardle. And at the moment, we do have Fran Johnson here as a visiting lecturer. He was our scenic construction tutor, but he's just moved on, and next term we'll have a new scenic construction tutor in place in the new term. We work really closely with our students. We get to know our students really well. The groups aren't big, so we have a maximum of 4 students in both scenic painting and set construction. We have a maximum of 9 students in prop making, and we have a maximum of 12 students in costume making. So you can see there's a good student-tutor ratio. It's working well, and we do get to know you well. We keep asking you that question: what do you want to do next term? What do you want to do next year? What do you want to do when you graduate? And then we, through that tutorial system, we're supporting our students to move in the direction that they want to be moving in. But we're all agreed that we've delivered the sound teaching to get those really good skills to be able to jump into any of these different areas of practice. Sometimes you might work on a project that you think, I'm really going to love that, I'm going to really enjoy it, and actually at the end of it, maybe you don't like it so much, but now is the time to do it. The time to do it is when you're a student, to really think about, what is it I want to be doing? Actually, I don't want to be working with that heavy machinery. I want to be working in this way. Or, actually, I love that so much. That's my career. That's what I want to be doing. That's what I want to be following. Okay. I think there's a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm just going to get those up. It's been very silly. Okay, would you say that prop making still have a place in movies now that CGI is almost everywhere? Yes, absolutely. And actually, this was a conversation we were having about 5 years ago, and we still continue to have it. But yes, definitely, there is still a lot of need for prop makers in the film industry. And actually, if you look at with the wonders of the internet now, you can see how any movie is made. You will see that there is still a big prop making team on most of the movies. Certainly working for Disney, Marvel films, with graduates who graduated last year, who have already gone to Marvel films, working in those industries. So I would say yes, absolutely, definitely. Would you say that the studies are intense, like 24/7? Oh, sorry, that popped off. Or do students find time to hold down a job during their studies? This is a really important question. I would say majority of our students have to work it's not cheap doing a project here, doing a course here, but I can talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But also just living in London is expensive. However, the course is 5 days a week. You are expected to apply yourself 5 days a week. The taught day, we start at 10 o'clock and we finish teaching at 5. So work happens in and around that teaching. So a lot of people work in the evenings and at weekends. We always know when crunch points are going to be, because obviously if we're working on, as you know, if you're working on a project that culminates in some kind of outcome, a performance, a film or whatever that is, there will be a crunch point when actually the days get a bit longer, but we can always tell you when that is. So we can tell you, before the term starts, once we get to week 6, week 7, you're going to be working really, really hard. Maybe think about your rotas at work that week, maybe cut your rotas down, etc. And it works, people do manage to work and do the course, but it isn't a full-time job that you would be able to hold down. It would be part-time around the course. The other things to talk about is materials as well, because if ever you're working on a BA theatre practice project or a show project, so working with one of the other courses within the school, acting, applied theatre, etc., the materials are bought. You are not responsible for buying those materials. When you do need to pay for your own materials, it's when you do the personal projects. So you might decide that, third term, summer term of the first year, that actually you want to develop your skills in a certain area of work. Maybe that's polycarving, maybe that's, maybe working a bit more with metal or whatever. Then you will be responsible for paying for some of those materials, not all of them, but some of them you would need to pay for. I hope that answers that question. How much sewing experience is needed before going into the costume course? So most of the students that come onto the costume course have already done some sewing. Not everybody has made a garment. Some people have done textiles where they've made accessories, bags, cushions, upholstery, but usually some people have done some sort of sewing. Not everybody has done some pattern cutting, which is a very big part of the course, but most people have done some kind of sewing. Not necessarily to a level, A level or an exam level. A lot of students that come here say, you know what, I've been sewing with my granny for years, or I've been sewing with my mum, I've been sewing with my dad, I've been sewing with my auntie or whatever. And actually, that works really well. Those students come and they absolutely thrive on the course. But you do need some sewing experience before you come. Would you recommend that students attend a foundation year before applying to the course? We don't actually, and one of the reasons we don't is because there's not that many foundation years to be found now in art and design. So we don't recommend that. Most students have done some kind of art and design within their schoolwork, or some people have done Saturday art classes. A lot of people have done National Youth Theatre, National Youth Opera, come through those sorts of routes, but you don't have to have done a foundation year. Obviously, it's a bonus if you have, but you don't need to have done that. Does the team have LinkedIn? I'm very interested in theatre design. All the students do use LinkedIn. I don't personally, some of the staff do, but I don't personally, but all the students use LinkedIn. There is a theatre design course, and that is the Design for Performance course. So I think Kathy might be talking about that. I'm not sure. In the prop making course, is most of the work practical and hands-on? Yes, absolutely. Is there some 3D modelling? Yes. Using virtual softwares? Yes, we're so excited. Absolutely, definitely. We have 2 3D printers in the prop making department. We also, in the Scenic Construction department, we have a CNC machine as well. So absolutely, yes. All the projects, all the units that we do have some kind of practical outcome, whether that's a BA theatre practice project or a show project. And so, yes, absolutely. And that practical work is done by the students. That's not done by the staff. The students do that work. So we are teaching you through those vehicles, if you like. So through those projects that we give you on productions or the TP projects, that's how you're building up your skills. We do have weeks where we run, 2 weeks of intense skills. They're called course practices, and they're front loaded. So they're at the beginning of the terms, and then you're offered a project where you will put those skills into good use and develop them further. So yeah, it's really practical. There is, Kathy's probably already said to you that you do need to, there is assessment, and within that assessment, you do have to reflect on the making that you've done and come to some conclusions, evaluations and conclusions, but it doesn't have to be written. It might be a spoken presentation, it might be a visual essay, so an essay that's driven by visuals with a few bullet points. It might be oral, you might do a sound presentation. So lots of different ways, but yeah, absolutely practical every day. Would you expect prospective students to have any actual theatre experience, or can we just have a passion for it? Absolutely, we just want you to have a passion for it. And also, that it doesn't just have to be live performance. We have students now who come who are so interested in what's going on in film and screen. So yeah, you just need to have a passion for performance, really. What is the employability rate for the prop makers of the course? It's very, very good. Across the 4 making courses, we have something like 70% of those graduates go straight into employment at the finish of the course, including this past year. And other people by Christmas time will be working in the industry. What we have to remember is that, of course, a lot of employment now in this area is freelance work. So some people, might go and get a permanent contract working with the National, for example, but a lot of people will be doing freelance work. Some people set up little small companies while they're actually on the course, and that final project that I talked about, where you make your portfolio and your career plan, feeds into all of that and supports that. And actually, there are some amazing bursaries offered within the school to support people to set up small companies as well. So there is a Scenic Construction called Object Design and Construction, and it's run by 2 guys who set up that company. Final term of the course here, they were young. They started the course when they were 18, so only 21 when they set up that business. It is still going strong, and we send students down there to do placement. So that's just one example. There are more examples than that one. What sort of personal projects have students worked on recently? Well, a lot of the personal projects end up in the final exhibition. So I don't know if we could do this, Victoria, but can we put the link to the exhibition in the chat?
Yes,
so
I'll track it down and put it in the chat.
Thank you. If you've got an email for me, it's in my strapline. So if you haven't looked at it already, if you haven't gone on the website and looked at it already, after today, I'd click on this link and have a look at the work of all the students across BA Theatre Practice, but especially the making students, and you'll see what those all sorts of personal projects that people have done. Certainly in costume construction, people have done tutus. They have made copies of suits for Dave Bowie. They have made puppets. So George, in his final year, he made puppets all year. And then he walked straight into a job at Rainbow at the end of the course. In fact, he had that job from Easter. He didn't graduate till 8 weeks later. Students in Scenic Art have done some mural work. And then people in props tend to really specialize in one area. So it might be polycarving, it might be fiberglass work, it might be bigger constructive work such as welding, etc. And similarly for the scenic constructors. And actually sometimes the scenic constructors will make a beautiful piece of furniture. So they might diversify slightly outside of what we do within performance. What are you looking for in an admissions portfolio for construction for stage and screen? So what I'm looking for is that you understand what that job is, and it is actually making the larger elements of the set, whether that's for screen or for stage. Prop makers tend to be making the smaller elements. The scenic constructors make the larger elements and then work really closely with the scenic painters because they will paint those constructions. It's always really good if you can put any process images in, and that goes for all 4 courses. Any process of any making that you've done into your portfolio is great, because that's how we talk to you in the interview. Tell me how you made this. And if you've got the process there in your portfolio, that's really useful. Also, I would say for prop making and scenic painting, we love to see some good drawing, good level of drawing. And for scenic construction, if you've done any kind of technical drawing, that is really useful as well. We don't ask for drawing in costume construction, but if it's there, it's a bonus. Yeah, so I'm hoping that's helpful. You know, it might be that you haven't made a piece of scenic element for a production, but you might have helped to make a gazebo for someone, or maybe you've worked on some outdoor statues or something for someone. What we're interested in is the scale, really, for scenic construction and scenic painting, actually understanding the scale of what's needed and making big. But yeah, any kind of drawing and any process. So Gabby Rose, I've got questions about costume. Yes, the portfolio, yes, for is the portfolio submission only digital? I'm not sure, Gabby, if you're talking about the submission for your application to the course. Absolutely, it's digital. And also the other question it might be is, yes, most of the costume students have a digital portfolio. Do prospective students ever show their work in person? No, because we actually interview you on Zoom, so that doesn't happen. And this is pretty standard now, that most places will be asking for your portfolio to be digital to apply for courses. How many people apply to costume compared to the number of places available? A lot of people do apply for costume. However, you've got to remember it's really competitive. There are so many costume construction courses. I think last year, in the end, I interviewed over 100 people. Last year was slightly different. People were worrying about what was going to go on with COVID, so that the interviews went on for longer. But, you know, we filled the places. I always say, just apply, because we interview everybody who applies, regardless of what your portfolio looks like. So just apply. And also some people are very surprised when we offer them a place on the course. They think that, you know, oh, well, I'll apply, but I'm not sure that I'll get on. And actually you'd be surprised, you know, it's surprising who we do take. It is quite a rigorous interview, but very informal. I think feedback we've had is the costume construction and props and scenic art and scenic painting and scenic construction interviews are informal and enjoyable. What should we put in our portfolio to apply? So I've already gone through that, really. Any making that you've done doesn't have to be pertinent to what you're applying for. So, you know, if you're doing costume construction but you've knitted a beautiful jumper, put that in. If you're applying for scenic art but you've also done some carpentry or maybe some metalwork, put it in. We're interested in how you think about your making, how you approach your making. and how you think about it. We pride ourselves that our graduates and students on the course are thinking practitioners. So not just going with the norm, maybe thinking slightly outside of the box, being creative and really thinking about what materials you're going to use, etc. How much written work is there in the course? I've already talked about you don't have to do huge amounts of written work. Your submissions might be spoken presentations or visual essays. Is there a dissertation? Your dissertation is your career plan. So there isn't a dissertation as such. However, if you do want to do a more academic submission, you can do what's called the extended essay, where you take a term in your third year to really look in detail and research a certain subject within your discipline. It does mean that you don't particularly make for that term, but we have had a lot of costume construction students actually do that, and some scenic painting students too. And there's students who might go on and do possibly do an MA after their BA. Do students go on to work in all aspects of costume, e.g. ballet, dance, or mainly theatre, film, TV? Yes, they go and work everywhere. I've got people who work on Strictly. Alice Brown is the costume supervisor on the, oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called, the sewing show, I can't remember what it's called. Oh, I've forgotten. Sewing Bee, yeah, she's the costume. Also, I know that Sophia Bailey and Jonathan Burniston are out in Belgium this week. They are costume supervisors for the MTV Awards. I've got people who've gone into, I've got people that work at the Royal Opera House, work at the National, work at the Globe, Glyndebourne, Apple, people working with Sandy Powell at Apple. So all sorts of different places, yeah, ballet, dance, opera, you name it, we do it. And also working dye departments, you know, sort of supporting departments of the making departments as well, which is always exciting. You are welcome. How much written and theory work is there? Okay, so I didn't say that, but every project that you do on the course is underpinned by theory and research. That's what makes us a BA honours degree. And actually most students love that. And research for us, it could be looking at social and political history, but it could also be talking to a practitioner about how they would approach a similar project. So how they might make something. It might be about going to see a film or a theatre piece and look at how pieces have been made. It might be about doing a backstage tour. It might be your own researcher's practice, which we encourage all the time. So all the experimenting and playing that you're doing to create your final outcome can be seen as research, practice as research, intellectual engagement, which is what we're looking for. And it counts a lot towards your grade. It counts for, you know, every project you have to do has to be informed by it. So it's a big part of what your final outcome will be. How many applications for prop and costume? We've already talked about costume. Prop, again, this is a really popular course. And we have 9 places on the course, and I think Dot and Ollie interview somewhere between 50 and 60 students for those places. What type of machines for students to use in costume construction? We have some industrial sewing machines and overlockers. We also have domestic sewing machines and overlockers. We have industrial irons, and we have industrial irons specifically to put in interfacings. Yeah, we have what, if you went to a visit, and this is true of all our departments actually, if you went for a visit at the National Theatre making studios, we have equipment on a par with that. That's sort of our benchmark really. We don't have computer machines in costume construction, but we do have, you know, the types of machines that you would be using if you went to work at one of the what we call the national institutions. Thank you, Victoria's put the link there to the exhibition. Is there a formal channel for international students to get in touch with current students to hear a bit about their experience? I don't think there is a formal channel, Victoria.
I'm just checking with my colleague actually, and I'll pop the answer in the chat because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, but we can put, you know, we can informally put you in touch with our students. Our students are always happy to talk about the work they're doing. Are there prop making facilities shared with other courses? And is there space where you can leave your work set up? I have to say the prop making studios are exclusively for the prop making students. We can't actually fit anybody else in there. Even before COVID, we couldn't fit anybody else in there. So your work stays in there and is set up. At the moment, costume students are sharing, and it is a little bit easier to work at home on your costumes than if you're making a prop or working in the Scenic workshop. But we're working on that, and we are going to be getting an extra studio next term, which we're all really excited about. But yes, is the answer to, you don't share it with other people. It is for the BA Theatre Practice students studying on those courses. Does prop making involve any model making scenes, such as creating small scale models of sets? No. So that work is done by the design students, not by the prop making students. Although we have had prop making students who have graduated and gone to work for architectural companies and done that very job, where they've made those very precise models that are expected within architecture. But here, as would happen in the industry, it is the design students that make the set models. Yeah. Does it make a difference to your view of an application if students take a gap year before applying? I mean, you know, to be honest, it's very, when we interview you, it is very much a one-to-one. We're interviewing you, you're also interviewing us. If you have taken a gap year, we'll talk to you about all the exciting things you've done on that gap year. But if you haven't, we'll be talking to you about what you've just been doing previously anyway. It might be that people choose to do a gap year and maybe, you know, trial out some working in these areas of practice. Yeah, I mean, my daughter took a gap year. She loved it, had a fantastic time, and it helped her when she moved into university. But it, you know, it isn't, you don't have to do it, but it is, you know, it's helpful, isn't it, for everybody? What is the costume course like at the moment in relation to COVID? Is all teaching in person like normal? Yes, absolutely. I am so pleased. We are all back in the studio and absolutely loving it. I've spent the, thanks Aaron. I have just spent a lovely morning this morning with third year students in the studio. I've been in there all this week. Lucy's also been in the studio this week. We are loving it. However, I will say, and my, you know, third year students will back us up on that. We did a lot of online teaching during COVID, and I have to say it wasn't me, it was Lucy, found an amazing way to actually teach practical stuff online. We work really closely, all the making courses work really closely with technical and production department within the school. So these are people, we actually teach in their spaces, they maintain those spaces, they maintain the machines. They're actually, they're all practitioners in their own right and all have different disciplines that they excel in. But thanks to them, you know, we were able to get out equipment to students, materials to students, and we did a lot of online teaching. But, you know, nonetheless, we're also glad to be back in school. It is a community here. It really is a community. And I have been here since 1998. I've taught here since then. And that is one of the reasons I love it here, is that, you know, we're all here. We're a community, all doing the same thing. Are we out of time?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're 2 minutes over, would you believe? Just if we can just quickly we'll just take those last two questions
Yeah,
and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes is the answer. You can utilize the wood and metal working for prop making. Yeah, you do that. And similarly, sometimes the scenic constructors go upstairs as well. Will we be able to attain third year placements? Yes, you will. You possibly will have one in your second year too. So yeah, and there's support for that. And also that's what I used to do originally with Victoria, but she's moved on from that role. So yes is the answer. Yes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Caroline, and thank you to everyone for all those fantastic questions. I will say I've worked at Central now for 10.5 years, and I have two highlights. Number one is the exhibition that I go to every year, and I absolutely love. It's beautiful to see all the work that the students have created. And my second highlight is the costume sale that we have every year, because you can never have too many top hats or capes. There was a cape here for some reason, so I ended up with loads of capes, but I absolutely love it. I do need to have a bit of a clear out, but it's lovely. Wardrobe is one of my favorite places. So thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Caroline. Thank you to everyone else for your questions and for listening. All the information is on our website. There's loads of course information on there, information on how to apply, everything you could possibly need. But you can also email us at openevents@cssd.ac.uk. But it's just for me to say now, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and we hope to see you at some point in the future at Central. So thanks everyone, take care, and we'll see you soon.
Bye everybody, have a good day.